All right, so I'm standing outside the milking parlor. Inside here is where all of the actual milking of the goats happens. We've got all this bay of windows here that let in lots of natural light. And then you can see down here, the goats are actually waiting in the holding pen for their turn to come in. This is where the goats basically wait their turn to be milked in the milking parlor, which we'll go inside and get a good shot at here in a minute. They usually don't stay in here for much more than an hour at a time. And then they actually will exit out of the exit here and go back into the barn and back out into the fields if they happen to be grazing at the time. Or if it's the end of the day, they oftentimes will go back into the barn and they usually go to sleep as soon as the sun goes down. I'm standing outside of our milk room, and just beyond the milk room comes the milking parlor. We keep them separate because the milking parlor is where the animals come, and we actually want to hygienically move it from the milking parlor into the milking room. So the first milk room actually contains the tank and the cooling system and all of that. And after that comes the milking parlor. We actually will milk about 26 goats at a time. And because of that, we can run through quite a few goats in an hour. So as the goats come in, they each find their own stanchion, put their heads in, which automatically will secure their heads so they stay in one spot. Each goat will then go find its own stanchion, and the entire stanchion rolls back and forth. It'll actually roll back, which makes the goats kind of slowly back up. And when they're done, after the milking machine is done, it will automatically pull off of the animal, take it off automatically. So some of them are being manually milked right now. But once they're done, then the udder is dipped in an iodine solution, and that protects it from bacteria, it protects it from getting diseases such as mastitis, and it's a very natural, very gentle way of keeping bacteria counts low. This door over here is pneumatically actuated by a control at the other end of the parlor. After the last goat is done milking, the stanchions are automatically released and the goats walk out that side door. The milking cloths go through a back flush cycle where each time the goats go out, they get washed. It's a back wash cycle, and then that way when the next goat comes in, they're clean and they don't do any cross-contamination. After the goats are finished milking, they actually exit through a door that's right underneath the eaves there, and then they'll actually make their way down this little exit pathway back out into the barn and back out into the fields. But a lot of times they kind of linger and loaf around in the line there and establish dominance and kind of a pecking order and whatnot. But it's kind of it's the way that they're able to go back out into the barn. If there's an issue with the goat and we need to check her for later in the day, we'll actually put them in this little temporary holding pen right here. That way the milkers don't have to ever leave the goats that they're milking. They just put them in this pen real quick, and then at the end of milking, we'll come back out and check them or do whatever kind of exam we need to do. So last year, we raised about 100 goats, and we used numbers in the 700s. So you'll see goats all over the farm with 700 numbers on them. And the kids name pretty much every goat that we ever raise, but not all the names get remembered unless they're very, very personable and they kind of give you a reason to remember them. And this one is what, Ava?
Amelia.
It's Amelia, exactly. And so Amelia...
704.
704. Amelia is very friendly, and because of that, she's very memorable. And so she is always here to greet us, and so she gets special privileges. She gets let out of the barn and gets her own private grass reserve.